One of my new favorite reporters, Politico's Glenn Thrush, said it best. The Democratic race is a tangle of contradiction, paradox, and pungent little ironies, as seen in last night's debate.
Michigan last night, which some people considered one of the major political upsets in modern American history.
I won one of the contests and lost another close one. This is a marathon. The fact is, the money that rescued the auto industry was in that bill.
Secretary,
now, Senator Sanders voted against it. That's his perfect right to vote against it. But if everyone had voted as he voted, we would not have rescued the auto industry.
Go past one other.
So that everybody knows the bill that Secretary Clinton is talking about. That was the bailout of the recklessness, irresponsibility, and illegal behavior of Wall Street. It was the Wall Street bailout.
If you get indicted, would you drop out?
Oh, for goodness, that is not going to happen. I'm not even answering that question.
Joining me now is Shannon OBrien. Shannon's former state treasurer, Democratic candidate for governor. She's a Clinton supporter. Good to see you, Shannon.
Hello.
Nadeem Mazen is a Cambridge city councilor as well as a Sanders supporter. Nadeem, good to see you too. You know, Shannon, until Michigan, at least my sense was, Clinton had totally turned her attention to Trump. All of a sudden, last night, it is laser-like on Sanders. That seems to me to indicate she's a little nervous about footsteps, no?
I think the campaign is nervous, and I think they have every reason to be. Bernie Sanders has run, I think, a very good campaign for someone who started out so low in the polls, someone for whom I don't even think he believed he would get this far. So, yeah, I think she needs to make sure that she's paying attention to these primaries and she doesn't get too far ahead of herself.
Do you worry that he's exposed an Achilles heel on job-killing trade deals and on Wall Street that may not disappear even if she wins and he endorses her?
I think in certain states, I think that she needs to be concerned, in Ohio and some states like that. But ultimately, I think that she has a message that resonates. Last night, especially, when she was going after him pretty hard on one of the immigration bills, saying you didn't vote against that. That was the last best chance we had. And now we have a Republican Congress that does not want to move this forward. It's the difference between the ideal situation and how you compromise to get things really done. And that's what she's trying to demonstrate. And I think she did a good job.
I'm going to talk about getting things done in a minute. But I'm not, even though he had a great victory, a shocking victory in Michigan, the numbers don't look good for him going forward. Is he running to win, or is he running to ensure that Hillary Clinton embraces 100% of his message? Because she's basically co-opted most of it already.
It seems like he's running to win, right? And Michigan brings up a lot of questions about polling in upcoming states, in Illinois and Ohio.
Where he's behind big double digits.
Where he's behind, right, but the independent voters will play a big part in mixed and open primaries. And then after March 15th, the primaries where he'll do the best. I want to go back to a prior question where I think it's really important not just for Clinton to demonstrate she has important, good stances on these important issues, but that we actually as a country make sure we hold these people accountable to solve the issues, not just have a position on it, but actually do those things with respect to jobs and Wall Street.
Let's talk about solving those issues, the point that Shannon made, which is a point I don't know if she mentioned it last night. I was tired. But she, you know, the line from Hillary Clinton is, I won't promise what I can't commit. He doesn't have one colleague in the Senate, not one. People ridiculed Ted Cruz for this. He doesn't have one colleague who's worked with him for years who supports him. Virtually the whole Vermont political infrastructure, the other senator, the former governor, Howard Dean, the current governor, Peter Shumlin, everybody is with Clinton. Doesn't that make a statement about his ability to get things done?
I mean, I think the statement it makes from the perspective of a lot of this country is that certain political machines and certain political candidates for various offices have things locked up in a way that maybe they shouldn't. I've interacted with Howard Dean. Of course he's going to go for Clinton. That has nothing to do.
Why?
He's establishment. He's required to. He has other obligations. He was the chair.
He wasn't seen as an establishment candidate when he ran for president.
That's true, but when he went to the Democratic National Committee, he towed a lot of party line stances, and Clinton is the establishment candidate.
She is the establishment candidate.
Well, if establishment means you get things done, the establishment's not such a bad thing. The battle cry this year, because people are mad right now, they're mad at Wall Street. They're mad at banks. They're mad at the fact that the top 1% is taking most of the financial bonuses that are coming to this country. And people have every right to be mad. But ultimately, you have to get things done. And I think that the statement she made last night, that my father said to me, if it's too good to be, it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And so I thought she demonstrated very well last night the difference between talking about some wonderful, important ideals, but how do you, when you're in there and the other side is going for the jugular and trying to kill you at every turn, how do you get things done? That's
very
not
quickly,
easy.
speaking of going for the jugular, don't you think she's going, if she is situated in a good place, particularly with these ridiculous superdelegates, in my opinion, believing in democracy.
Except, wouldn't you want superdelegates on the Republican side this year?
Well, maybe that's actually the best
You know?
answer I've heard so far. Do you worry that she's hitting him too hard in terms of, particularly young people, his generation, Sanders supporters, who may say, should she win this, wait a second, this is not my kind of candidate?
The concern that I have, and I see social media, and I see some of my friends who are Senator Sanders supporters, they are whipped up into a frenzy to hate Hillary Clinton. And the fact is, if they say that they're going to sit this out, that could be dangerous for this country. You don't see that coming from the so-called establishment side because they understand that ultimately the Democratic candidate winning this year is more important.
Can we move to the other side, who I assume neither of you are supporting? There was an incredible interview last night, maybe an hour, Anderson Cooper, one-on-one with Donald Trump. 10 minutes on whether Trump steaks were really Trump steaks. A long discussion about what laws he'd change on terrorism, and this exchange about Islam. Here it is.
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred there. There's a tremendous hatred. We have to get to the bottom of it. There is an unbelievable hatred of us.
In Islam itself?
You're going to have to figure that out. Okay, you'll get another Pulitzer, right?
So he indicts a whole religion. He fights about whether steaks that really aren't his are his. And he's got a secret plan to deal with terrorism, sort of like Nixon in Vietnam. The reason it's a secret is because there's no plan. Forget him for a minute. What does it say about America and the people who support him, who are going to be there whether he wins the nomination or not, that he can do this and it phases nobody, at least those who support
They're not
him.
thinking with their head, they're thinking with their heart. They're mad. He is speaking in angry tones. He is talking about us against them, and there are a lot of people who are feeling embattled in this economy, feeling like they can't get ahead, and they're looking to him as their bully who will stick up for them.
Doesn't that put your candidate at risk in November if he's the nominee?
Because I ultimately think that the people in this country are smarter than that, and they will actually start thinking a little bit north of where they're thinking right now when it comes to the final election.
What do you think it says about his supporters, Nadeem?
You know, we have this problem on both sides. The Republican Party, if he's the nominee, and frankly whether he is or not, will have a lot of healing to do after this process in order to re-engage young voters, minority voters, all kinds of things. On the Democratic side, the corollary or the analog to that is what you brought up before, superdelegates. I don't think Bernie supporters are afraid of supporting Clinton if she secures the nomination. I think people want to see a progressive or at least someone centrist or left of center in office. But the fear is that the democratic process is broken entirely and that superdelegates are one factor or one piece of evidence in that. And that is what could cripple the Democratic Party. What we want to see is a very strong Democratic Party going forward that solves those issues. While on the other hand, the Republicans have a much harder
But people just have a different yardstick
problem.
about what solving those issues are. I mean, again, I'm going to point back to, you know, there is a reason that we have a House and a Senate. There is a reason that the Democratic Party, you know, allows some of the sort of more establishment, you know, party regulars to have a say in the political process. And I will tell you, every single
What's that reason? What are we protecting?
This year is the perfect example that if you had superdelegates on the Republican side.
It's not about Republicans.
No, it's not. But my
Democrats.
point is that it is, you certainly have to go through the elective process. There certainly is a
Are
path.
you afraid that Democrats will
I'm not
elect
afraid
someone
at all.
Trump-like? I want to remove
No, I'm not
superdelegates
afraid
so
of
we
that
can
at
have
all.
a more democratic
I think that
process.
it speaks to the lack of support that Senator Sanders has from the people that he's worked with, the people from his state, the people that have served a generation in Congress with him are not supporting him.
We got to go. Shannon OBrien.
Thank you.
Much more civil than last night, I should say. Nadeem, good to see you too.